And an Earth Spirit after that? Okay. They... Oh, man, they got a lot of lockdown.
Yeah, and lockdown from heroes that haven't been popular, that we haven't seen all too much of, even though Earth Spirit versus both the Natures and the Ember is that classic counter. Of course, Earth Spirit's had a tough past, what, 5, 6 years almost at this point, where his ulti doesn't do enough damage, his kit doesn't do enough on multiple heroes. He feels kind of weird, but the one part of the hero that has always been extremely solid has been the grip. It's been the silence. It's what is going to stop the Nature's Prophet from TPing out half the time. It's where the Ember now has to be careful. Any play, you just roll on top of him, you silence in the middle of the roll, then you get the kick going. It can feel pretty nice, even though, again, Earth Spirit, not a popular hero. A hero really only played by a lot of these kind of holdouts in South America where they still find their opportunity here and there, but the hero's been bad for quite a while, so it's tough to say. Pitward is a lot easier to talk about the positives. Holds the tower, is going to hold the towers versus the Nature's Prophet split push. Great lockdown versus the Ember. Absolutely hates playing versus the Root. Anytime you Sleight of Fist, you have to be so careful that you're already not independent malice, because as soon as you come out, well, you get pitted, and then that could be enough lockdown to lead into a Tree and ulti, an Earth Spirit Silence, an LSA. That could just be it for the Ember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Utility, durability, and frankly, depending on where it goes, how long the fights last for, the Underlord does start doing some damage, both with his own right clicks and with the burn, just kind of slowly but surely creeping up on you. He helps with your pushing strength too, so that's kind of been his strength and issue. He does all of these things really, really well, but not one thing well enough where he was getting picked all that frequently. But with the lineup Ravens have, maybe having a jack of all trades, master of none kind of deal with the Underlord is exactly what they want.
Yeah, and now for Alpha, they kind of have some options here. They did leave their draft just a little bit open. Almost certainly will be Ember in the mid lane, but will it be a Snapfire Tiny as your off lane and then a Nature's Prophet carry? Will it be a Nature's Prophet Tiny as your off lane and then a Snapfire 5, meaning they need another carry? Or do they have their off lane and their carry and they need a 5? You know, there are options right now for Alpha, and we'll have to see. Anything that they're going to pick is going to be affected by Ravens' final pick. So really, there's no point in calling out, even though we can say for Ravens, I did not think they were going to need another offlaner, but the
Mm-hmm.
Brood ban, well, there you go. Any stat lovers out there, Brood still ends up getting banned in this draft, even though it's way later than any other picking phase.
I mean, what would that have had to look? That would have been Lena 1, and I guess the Underlord would have then moved mid, was the scenario they
Mm-hmm.
were envisioning, and with the DP ban, they're not entirely sort of off that trail just yet. That's kind of weird, but well, maybe they know something we don't. Maybe they've been watching PP practice mid Underlord for some reason,
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, that was a thing in the past, right? The Underlord did go mid occasionally, but it seems weird.
is definitely a little bit funky. Uh, it's just Benjaz just likes the hero is like the thing in
Mm-hmm.
the back of my mind. Of course, you would want, I think, a slightly more aggressive offlaner in conjunction with Earth Spirit. So that's where I could maybe see the Pit Ward Earth Spirit lane not feeling as functional. So they would want to swap that up. But it's really tough to say because if it does end up being Nature's Prophet carry, I feel like Benjaz will almost certainly want to be a Pit Ward in the Nature's lane. So it's tough to tell. And I think maybe here in Raven's last pick, we see some of that flexibility echoed because that's what's they're going to want to happen. They want the Pit Ward to run around and chase the Nature's Prophet and constantly firestorm him, constantly get buff ups from those treants dying. I think that's where maybe they pick up a hero here that can go mid or off lane. And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
was looking at Visage, and that is a much better lane to pair with the Earth Spirit. But let's see, because I think really they should chase him around, but I don't know. Maybe at the end of the day, they say, okay, Pit Lord, we're going to do the Ember Spirit lane, and now we're just going to have a much better offlane, which is certainly what Visage will give them.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've got options, and it'll all depend on exactly what this final pick is from the alpha side, because as you were mentioning, there's so many options left for them in terms of switching things up. They'll go for the Ursa, however. So, well, honestly, that's probably the most conventional of the choices available to them, right? Some sort of carry pick, then you just put Ember mid and Prophet as your offlaner. So, I suppose there's still some concerns. The Ursa is not quite as vulnerable to some of the lockdown, right? He's got a little bit built in to try and work his way around it, but will that be enough? Will there still be scenarios where Rises can get on and stay on a target long enough to actually affect the fight?
Yeah, and it is a little bit of a forcing move as well, because as soon as the Ursa's picked up, they're not going to put the Underlord into the Ursa lane. Then it becomes just a non-factor. So the flexibility for Raven at the end of the day and them going for this Visage ends up proving them right. They get what they want, and they get a lane that Banjaz will be able to exist in, which is really all that matters. Even though this is kind of a test here for Earth Spirit. Will you be able to stack up versus very solid, very good early game heroes, or will you fall flat on your face, forced into stealing runes as opposed to actually playing the game? That's gonna kind of be the question here for Demon, because that is the lane that can go probably the worst or the best for either side. Rise is either going to be looking at an incredibly early Battle Fury and is going to be happy to farm versus Parker, or his lane gets blown wide open, Demon finds too many openings, Benjaz gets an early level 6, and then the castle already starts to crumble for Alpha.
Well, you would love to not necessarily have that degree of risk already down 0-1 in the series, but Alpha really didn't have too much of a choice, so trying to make the most of the situation. We'll see if it works out, and I guess we'll see how well PP plays mid-Underlord. It has been quite some time since we've seen that strat thrown out there.
No, it definitely has, for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, Pitlord, not the most inspiring hero, not the best rotations as well. Really, I think the last time we saw him played as a mid laner was back when he had his old ultimate. Even though I think Fiend's Gate is pretty much better in almost every single way, it's not that get out of jail free card that I think it was used like in the past. It takes a little bit more finesse. Can certainly be used tactically even better than the old Pitlord ulti, but still, it's a funny spell. It's a funny, different spell that a lot of players even aren't used to because of how rare this hero actually sees play. And we'll have to see, because I can only imagine PP is probably going to go something along the lines of BKB Atos, and then probably turns that into a Gleipnir, because that's kind of the X core build for Underlord anyway. But we'll kind of have to see how he decides to play. Could also see him, honestly, just rush Greaves, because Benjaz probably isn't going to want to look for that item, even though Benjaz can also very easily build it up. It's where already right now, they're probably talking about what items they want to build.
Yeah, that is the thing. Maybe they shift a little bit of that utility onto the Underlord to free up the Visage to be more damage-oriented, because we already know the Lena's going to do damage, right? Full steam ahead, carry Lena. You just build to be a machine gun, so you got to find, hopefully, someone to supplement that, because as strong as the Lena is, you don't want her to be the only person capable of hitting anyone up. But we'll see who ends up building what, as Crawler has reconnected. I think that was the only DC we had there, so hopefully he's back in and stable and we can get this game going. Just another minute to see exactly how Alpha sort of, how they deal with this one, because they're the squad, I think, with the most questions. Maybe not just because of the draft. I think coming out of the just absolute shellacking they received in Game 1, we have questions about how they regroup here.
Yeah, and just keeping your head down. Want to give us our Game 3. Don't want to go out too early, because, of course, this is elimination. This is a best of one. And a best of one in which they are mainly, I think, banking on Rise's Ursa, which is certainly one of his best heroes. It's just going to be a matter of time and how much farm he actually gets. Also, do want to see how hard PP is going to kind of play up in his lane, how bad a matchup he can kind of turn this into. Because, of course, in the last matchup, pretty much dead even, not much. It ends up being a stonewall between the Kunkka and the Tiny. I feel like there's a lot more soul kill potential, or a lot more of that deny game that I think both these heroes can play, depending on how the runes go, how the little plays go. Even though I think PP should just win this. He already has kind of a stellar base damage advantage over the Ember. Just a matter of how much he can push that advantage.
Yeah, between the base damage and some bonuses from the Atrophy Aura, perhaps. it's going to be tough for the Ember. We'll see what Soul skills up at this point, right? We saw a game earlier today where we got the sort of max Flame Guard build. Obviously, this is not even remotely close to the same kind of matchup, but that was a response when the physical damage of the Ember wasn't really going to be able to, well, win him the lane. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any adjustment like that for Soul here, or if he just sort of plays it straight.
Yeah, and with that quiet start to the game, not many heroes actually see each other, and a pretty neat midward, I suppose, for PP on probably the least likely of places for Soul to look for. But here we go. Lanes begin.
Atrophy aura up for PP, and, well, yeah, here's the problem. First time out, you go with the Flame Guard. He takes really more damage than his opponent did, but, I mean, you're not going to be able to avoid damage in this scenario. Underlord's going to hit you pretty hard, so we'll see how well he can deal with it long term. In the meantime, well, Demon already just kind of yoinks a creep wave out of there, and he's just going to run with it. In the strange position here, Courier is holding on to Tangos and a Sentry that they kind of just wanted to hide from their opponents, so that's a bit of an interesting one. I don't know how relevant that's going to be, but they had a little plan to try and get some control over the vision at least.
Yeah, just being annoying, doing what he can, but little weird play, as well as, well, top lane, a lot of damage traded. Kara getting a little bit low, just getting hit up, but this is also the lane to look out for. Lena Treant, I feel like at any point, you'll probably find a real easy kill here, as well as a creep pull already going on, so the wave is going to push out pretty far, so they kind of have to go for a kill. Otherwise, the Valkyrie and Raykill have kind of gotten away with the lane so far.
And they don't really have a guaranteed combo, I suppose, right? A slow from a Nature's Grasp is going to make LSA pretty hard to miss, but again, no guarantees on the hits, but for now, not really looking for that combo, just separately trying to harass. They don't keep an eye on Raykill, though, so he's able to sneak around for a Courier snipe. So Ara will lose just a little bit there, but so long as Parker continues to farm here, all of that's kind of just incidental, not really that big a deal.
Really could be worse in this lane. Only gets more difficult for Valkyrie, of course, because now the Fiery Soul is up. Now he can look for some of those kills. He needs to worry about maybe maintaining those stacks a little bit more, but this is a lane that will probably come back to. Really only kill potential if there's maybe a toss back right now.
And, well, there it was. I said, you know, hard to miss but not guaranteed. They did just miss the combo, so Valkyrie gets to live for the time being, but you take a look at his last hits, 4 and 5 denies at least. Gotta assume maybe a couple of those are his own treants, but, well, this is the way it's going to be. It's not going to be a fun time. Speaking of not fun times, Crawler too far forward in the bottom lane. Rises does not provide a whole lot of defensive power, so they do end up giving up first blood, but they're trying to go on a PP here, but look at him just sit in the creep wave, not giving Raykill the easy toss, but I think they might still get the kill.
Yep, real nice rotation. Just kind of caught their opponent off guard there. Really smart from Soul as well. Just waiting, saving the Flame Guard till after the tail end of that Firestorm so he doesn't end up losing it, and just ends up being a really nice pick. As well as now Soul able to bottle up one of the water runes pretty much for free, because his laning opponent is still respawning, so really no pressure on the Ember. Gets that nice reset.
And we do see Soul going for a little bit more into the Flame Guard, so that was something I was sort of asking earlier in terms of how he would try and deal with the fact that the PP's going to have more damage than him pretty much every single time. So working to his advantage for now. Meanwhile, the Tiny returns up top. Raykill just going back to playing this kind of goalie style against Kara. Kill potential is kind of iffy, but just trying to make sure he doesn't have too much of an impact in the lane. Speaking of impacts, though, Demon, yeah, that's not the best. PP does hit level 5 now, but now's kind of too late. I feel like if they wanted that play to happen, they needed the point up in the pit, and now that the play's falling apart, he'll just put another point into Firestorm instead.
Yeah, and is kind of the issue with this Earth Spirit. You do and can die pretty easily. Pretty kind, though, of Crawler here to give him a little bit of a play, but doesn't want to commit entirely. It's where it is kind of a one-way road here in Demon. Well, just got back to the lanes, gives Benjaz 2 pretty nice soul assumptions, but then doesn't find anything else to do as back mid, the tiny rotation works again. Well, a little bit of success here for Alpha.
Raykill going for the boots first, you know? Just allowing him to come and go between the lanes that little bit faster. Even grabs the arcane boots up for himself afterwards, so he's topped up on mana, has enough for the combo again, and they're looking. Kara does not want to be caught out right now. He is just going to be able to back away, but hold on, maybe he's not. Raykill's still going. But at this point, he's kind of too far away to toss anyone. Still kind of playing a game of chicken with the Treant, though, but eventually they back off. Crawler, though, able to get some revenge as Demon gets caught second or third time now. Does end up going down. Still plenty of game left, DT, but so far we're not really seeing the Earth Spirit do too much here.
Yeah, no, and ends out pinging a ward that doesn't exist. Just Crawler caught him whenever he was trying to stack. And look at this. They trade off their lanes a little bit here. And PP is walking over. He does not want to give the Ember Spirit any of this. But Soul also doesn't have a defensive remnant back to mid. So he's on the run. And Demon isn't able to get the kickback. And now Demon, yeah, is going to help his Lina set up a lot of damage. Raykill has the Ava, so he's able to walk out. But at the very least, forced Raven's hands there, forced them to farm their own stacks.
But now Benjaz is left alone under his tower. He's just trying to run circles around it. The cookie stun, though, connects, and Rises goes in for the kill. Alpha really looking confident. They might push for more mid. This could be a slight overextension. The tower is still up here, but Soul wants to fight it. Does he have any way out? Yes, he does. Drops his remnant, so he is going to be able to back away, and none the worse for wear, really. Just a quick TP back to base will get Soul topped off, and Alpha are looking a lot more confident in this game. 5-1 start.
Yeah, and I think slowing down Benjaz, this is a good look. This is a great look for Rises. He's making pretty quick, pretty nice progress. But you also get to see this is the reason why they drafted the Pit Ward. They're just constantly defending this mid-tier 1. They're going to start healing it up with the Treant Protector. All of that was really just to defend and push away any aggression from Valkyrie. Even though Valkyrie is level 6, this is where globally you'd look for your next play. During all that time as well, unfortunately for Alpha, Parker just pushed in with a card of his own and then just took the Nature's Prophet tower. So Lina is still having a great game.
Yeah, and for the early Falcon Blade, just so that the lane didn't get sort of too tough against her, but now she's just farming. Benjaz, though, well, he's getting punished here in this bottom lane. They really kind of have just left him alone. But Demon TP's in, kicks his teammate away, rolls forward so that Rises can't continue the chase. And now with PP in, they want Crawler. They actually get him, though. He's TPing away. And they will not get the kill. While that goes down, Kara gets caught out mid behind his own tower. So, well, Benjaz lives. That's the bonus here. That's the good news for Ravens. The bad news is that they still end up losing a hero, and they still lose their tier 1 tower mid after all the effort they put in trying to hold it.
Yeah, just the attention, I think, gets a little bit too split up there. And then, you know, you kind of feel the change to living armor a little bit there, even though, look at this.
You don't win this.
Oh, no.
Ooh. He TP'd in all confident-like, dropped the ult, dropped the sprout, and Parker just kind of holds his ground and gets the kill.
Yeah, I guess the TP mid continues farming. He's very satisfied. Now it's Alpha, ones who need to look for that next play. Soul's doing a good job, though. If anything, took the farm that Valkyrie was going to get, but is still trying to tumble down a lot of these tier 1s. And look at this. A little bit of stack taking, a little farming, a little efficiency as well with the Fiend's Gate from PP. Sends the Lina back to refill his own bottle, you know? Got a little worker for him.
Not a bad play efficiency-wise. You weren't really going to be using that Fiend's Gate right now for too much in the way of aggression, based on where they're at build-wise, so may as well find some farm. Maelstrom almost done, but They're eyeballing Rises here in this bottom lane. This is not an easy kill, but let's see if they can do it. Firestorm is going to be there. They roll their way forward. Kara gets caught on the other side of the map, but they don't care. Push their way forward, get the kill, bring Parker over as well to get some damage onto the tower, and this is going to turn into a little bit of a trade. PP, though's TPing top. He wants to defend. Without backup, though, this is kind of risky. Yeah, that, kind of risky was underselling it. That's just a suicide mission, and PP ends up dying.
Yeah, and kind of gets punished for his item progression. If maybe he had a Vanguard, he has a Hood, then his team feels a little bit more comfortable trying to help him out. But because he's going for the Atos Rush, of course, he's kind of thin. Still has a lot of stats, has a lot of raw HP, but you're certainly able to work through it, especially if it's a 4-on-1. But that's also where I think Pipu just got ahead of himself just a little bit there, because of course, Benjaz's Visage, he's not going to want to TP to a lane that his birds aren't already in. It's where the Visage needs to walk his units before you can actually make a rotation happen. So Ravens just play a little bit too fast, I think, in that instance.
And now Alpha are on the attack. Smoke play. Black Soul and the two supports looking for Parker. Any defensive play from Demon, he tried, but only so much you could do there. And Demon may still be in trouble. Soul gets tossed forward. Actually forces out the Magnetize, which... honestly, I think if Soul wanted to keep pushing for that kill, the Magnetize would not have been enough to deter him, but this is where things get a little bit weird. Benjaz is starting to bring the Familiars over, and well, they were thinking about going in again, but at this point they really can't afford to. At least they don't lose the Familiars, so you don't give over any bonus gold, but that rotation really doesn't turn into anything.
Yeah, just gets you a nice early pick onto the Lina. Alina, who has a completed Maelstrom, though, and Parker will just go back to farming. But he is behind the Ursa, and an Ursa who almost has a Battle Fury of his own. This is probably best case scenario for Alpha. Rises is just off. He's ready. He's happy with his position in the game. It's where the rest of the team just needs to make space, buy time. The rest of the lineup is no slouch either, though. Raykill with Arcane Boots is only about 700 gold away from his Blank Dagger. Then he can start to make plays on the Tiny. Really, there isn't too much pressure right now on them.
Well, Benjaz does end up picking up the mech there, so that was something we were sort of asking about. Would they shift some of the utility build onto PP instead of Benjaz? As of right now, not really, right? He's got the mech. I suppose, technically speaking, you could say they're kind of doing that because he is going for the Atos build, but they don't want to shake things up too significantly here in terms of who's going to have the healing and utility for them. But gotta wonder here for Ravens, are they content with this pace of play? I mean, their cores are farming, but you drafted this Earth Spirit that you're not really taking advantage of too much. Although at this stage, ET, the fact that Demon isn't having to sacrifice himself every minute or two at this point to save his teammates is already pretty encouraging, as Crawler gets himself caught out on the other side of the map.
Yeah, that was the smoke into the Atos reveal. Not the biggest fish that they really wanted to catch, but they'll take it. And I think really they're just happy that PP's got something to do, and he is just going to queue up the BKB after. So it could be worse. He'll still find his efficiency, but I think more so, Ravens are probably saying to themselves, "We're okay farming. At the end of the day, here, even if it's a really farmed Ursa, we've got Lina versus Ursa. So the Ursa has to get on top of our Lina, and then maybe we can lose. But if the Ursa never accomplishes that goal, well, it's a pretty safe Lina game. I think a huge part of this game is going to be contesting and defending those Roches early on before Parker is really able to force the opponent's hand. It's where Ursa does still have that advantage over the Lina. And of course, Ursa with an Aegis will be able to fight a fully kitted out Lina. It's just one of those aspects that this game's going to get brought to probably sooner than later, depending on what Rises ends up going for item-wise. If he gets a BKB next, he could probably very safely force this first Roche, but he could also just decide to get a Blank Dagger instead and look for picks with his teammates.
That does sort of lead me into the question, right? You said Ravens, for the most part, going to be content with this sort of slowing down, farming up on their cores. If you're Alpha, should you be looking to make more plays? Should be looking to get more aggressive with Soul and Nature's Prophet, or are they also in a position where they want to wait out for another item or two?
Yeah, I think waiting is sadly going to be kind of the name of the game here. The items are just too big. There's going to be an Aghanim Scepter on the Nature's Prophet. There's a BKB in queue for Soul, one component away on that, and a BKB queued up on Rises, two components for that one. It's just all going to sync up for them if they just take the next 3 or 4 minutes a little bit slower, even though Ravens are bringing the fight to them, and they're looking for Valkyrie bottom, and he doesn't see the trees cut, but now, yeah, feels like something's coming. But look at this, Tiny with Blink Dagger. If they see Kara, and Kara might just eat this one.
They dropped a Fiend's Gate here, so PP wants to fight. First root down, second rune in. Stun's going to be there. They kick him back now as well into the LSA, and they're going to be able to find the kill. That's very solid execution, stacking up those stuns, but now Rises is in, and this fight's going to get more complicated. Do they want to keep it going? With Mortimer Kisses flying overhead, it's looking a little bit iffy, but Parker, he needs help. They dropped a sentry down. The LSA, though, is big. Rise is not able to get the damage initially, but they will be able to close the gap now. And now, without the Lina, can they afford to keep going? They are trying to track onto the Nature's Prophet here, but he'll self-sprout, he'll TP home. And it looks like Ravens are just going to have to back this out.
Yeah, losing their Lina, it's just a little bit too far, even though now Ember's TPing back in. Now they're going for this next fight. Kara does get the overgrowth off, but is this really enough? Soul needs help, though, maybe.
Yeah, he's starting to drop. There's going to be the Sleight of Fist, though, that allows him to jump away. They're not really finding kills all that quickly on the alpha side either. Eventually, they'll get through Kara, but this bought enough time for Demon to get back in. He's going to roll his way in for the stun onto Crawler, so they do take him down, and oh, they're going to look for even more. Multiple roots in onto the Nature's Prophet. Soul Assumption is doing some of the heavy lifting here, and somehow Ravens control the field. I don't think that they should have, but they did.
Yeah, I think really the difference maker there is that the Ursa is just too low for that second round of fighting, as well as you may have finished the Ags on the Nature's Prophet, but you still have to wait for that initial long cooldown. You don't have the kisses. You don't find a real great jump from Ray kill either. Even though you kill Kara, that's all you kill, and then you lose 2 cores on the tail end of that fight. A tail end in which Parker didn't even blink, again, because he's off on the other side of the map. And Parker's hunting while they kill Ray kill bottom. Oh, and it's one shot. And actually, the hit dodged out the hit. Perfect from Soul, but too close.
Mm-hmm. At least he realized that it was still coming his way. Otherwise, that would have looked very rough. So, Black Soul lives, gets himself out of there. They lose the Tiny down in the bottom lane, as we saw, but I mean, Tiny instead of Ember Spirit. You are more than okay with that. Parker, though, this is always the interesting thing about this. You take a look at the build, you know, there's one massive glaring thing that's not in the kit right now. So, he maxed out on the right-click potential, which, okay, but if he had Laguna, maybe that kill happens.
Yeah, for sure. But he will just decide to do kind of his own thing. Very Parker-esque skill build right now. Even though I think he accidentally misskilled one more point in Dragon Slave than, you know, what Linas are doing nowadays. But Parker also got the luck of the game. Found a Grove Bow on top of his Dragon Lance. He is now the sniper. He will be able to sit so far back in any of these fights. He's going to be really obnoxious. And now the goal is going to kind of present itself. Alpha need to get on top of him, or they will very handedly lose these fights. But also, look at this. Ryza snuck his first Roche under the nose of Raven's vision. Kara just wasn't close enough to scout him out, so they smoke in, but it ends up working. And now Ravens are kind of stuck farming. They kind of got robbed.
Yep. I don't really want to fight into Ursa with 2 lives, so got to take a step back and, well, I guess work towards further items. Parker, well, he's looking for the Boots of Travel here. Wonder, this is always going to be the thing for him. A BKB is obviously going to do fantastic trying to get rid of some of the CC. Doesn't always help you deal with the Ursa, but oh, never mind. Okay, not the bots. Instead, he is going to go for the Hurricane Pike upgrade. So, a little bit more utility for him. A little bit less greedy as well. So, that could make the difference for him in these fights. Speaking of fights, Ravens are looking for one. But unfortunately, ET, they are on the wrong side of the map.
Oh, looks like they will get this tier 3, but they gotta be careful. Yeah, they're walking back in, but Living Armor comes through, and now Ray Kill, well, on the low ground. Everybody on the low ground, actually.
Soul is trying to sort of do some work here on the back line, but there's going to be the overgrowth that locks him down. Do they have further stuns for him? Not really, so they're going to start to back away. Are they backing away, or are they regrouping? Actually, that's the question, and here is the Lina starting to dish out some damage, hitting up a lot of heroes, but not Rises. They actually kind of leave him, which put him in such an awkward spot. Now Parker wants to go in, but there was that moment where Rises thought, okay, do I back away? Do I use the Aegis here? What do I do? And that hesitation creates this opening. Now they're pushing their way in for the kill on the second life, and Soul, time to go. Does Parker catch him, though? He's trying. Does he hit the LSA? No, he does not. Very nicely done with the Sleight of Fist, but Soul still has to just keep on running. Raykill, though, jumps in, gets the toss back. There's going to be the Avalanche as well. Valkyrie comes in. They need to be able to get this kill, but it's going to be close. They will get it. Parker goes down. Soul still living, and Ravens may have overextended here. They are starting to bring heroes over. Kara is making his way in. You've got Demon rolling in as well, so they're going to continue to fight. Roots applied to 3 heroes. They're locking down Soul. They will kill him off. Can they get any more? Yes, they can. Roll onto Crawler. They don't actually have the damage right now to kill him, but another roll. There we go. Okay, geez. Eventually, they get the job done with the urn, but that allowed the Nature's Prophet to TP home.
Oh, look at this.
Oh,
Rises. He wants revenge.
I don't know.
So much he wants revenge.
BKB is popped, though, and he is going to go for it. PP dropping. Can he finish him off? Yes, he can. That's a interesting way to use your BKB, but hey, it gets him a kill, and now Valkyrie wants more, but yeah, Sprout on Kara doesn't really work. He just keeps on walking. He's still going to die, though. Yeah, Valkyrie gets the right click in, and now Demon, can he just roll away? Yeah, he can. He's out to safety, and Alpha's persistence does net them, 1 or 2 more kills there.
Yeah, and Rises gets his revenge, gets to use his BKB, actually gets to have some fun there, and, well, look at bottom. Valkyrie is looking to hunt. They know that Parker TP'd to this bottom tier 1. It was too fast. He showed just a little bit too quickly, so they are going all the way in here to look for the Lina. A Lina that has to be in front of them. They know this. They don't have scan, unfortunately, but this is where they don't want to give a play in. What a buddy.
Nice.
Even gates him away.
There's that utility. PP just has the bailout. And, I mean, his TP was on cooldown for so long, they really did need the help, so. Okay. Parker gets away. Parker, man, still does not have Laguna. It's always kind of weird to see. But,
yeah.
I mean, he did the damage in that last fight, right? He was able to stay on the edge. Machine Gun Lina is a thing for a reason. But having that extra little bit of nuke damage, I think, would make Ravens maybe feel a bit more comfortable. But this would be a pretty solid play, too, if they could get onto the Ursa. It looks like instead they're going to try and jump Crawler. Obviously an easier kill, and hopefully for them a faster one, but the Wrath of Nature did come in. That kind of slows up progress, but they do still find the pickoff. But now here comes the Ursa. Into the fight. Rises, holding his BKB. Familiars are locking him down a little bit here, though, so he's got to be kind of careful. Benjaz himself used the Self-Stone form, but it doesn't really help him get out of the fight. So Rises picks up 2. Brawler for 2. Looking pretty solid, and this is the problem for Ravens. If Parker's not involved, you really can't do more than hunt 1 or 2 supports.
Yeah, they kind of run out of damage, but they're also in no rush. Rises with the Blink Dagger is a very fearsome hero. You're going to have to see a little bit more respect given to him, but I think just messy pickoff that wasn't as simple as they wanted to in the triangle. One that's not going to get any easier either, because Carl's about to finish up a force that for himself and for his team, so that's going to be kind of annoying, but Parker's still farming. That's the silver lining. He's got a silver edge now, I think, in its entirety. Now he probably would want to turn around and maybe look for a BKB, considering he still doesn't have a way to deal with the Nature's Prophet route. But he is just kind of getting away with murder right now, farm-wise. He is still just becoming that monster hero that if Alpha don't close the gap, they just lose. And then bottom, well, they Fiend's Gate in, they ulti. There's no BKB built up yet on that Nature's Prophet, and well, that's the threat. Even though a lot of teams don't use the Fiend's Gate like that vessel to set up on the sidelines as quickly as it can, they do it right there.
And then Parker takes the gate, puts him in a position to get some damage onto this tier 2, or... Well, it doesn't, because the Treants over by the tower kind of mess with that, so... I like the thought process there. It's just that the creep wave aggro didn't align, but that means Parker can go back to farming, and it's a defensive item by proxy for the Lina here, working towards the Satanic. That feels a little bit greedy compared to just grabbing a BKB, but if he is given the space to farm it up, then more power to him, I suppose.
Yeah, and you know, it's more damage, it's a basic dispel, it could be worse, but there's a team fight. Book supports both caught underneath the tier 1. Kind of a bad situation.
Well, Crawler's gonna be kicked back. They've got the silence, they've got the damage, and the rest of Alpha kind of scattered to the winds there. I mean, it was good to avoid the lockdown from PP, but they split in 3 or 4 directions, which meant that they couldn't really come back together to force a fight.
No, it was kind of awkward, and honestly, really fortunate for Alpha that they only end up getting Crawler. That was really quite an expensive defense. That was, I think, 5 TPs. One of the heroes ended up canceling because he just didn't want to be there. Kind of a knee-jerk reaction. While the rest of Alpha were just like, oh, okay, let's just keep doing what we were doing. We don't need to necessarily react. They did not freak out very much there.
Oh. Roll forward, stun,
Oh.
LSA. Do they have overgrowth? They do, but they won't use it, and that may cost them. I think Kara was maybe concerned about whether he was in range or not, but unfortunately it means they miss out on the kill, and now the Ember's back. BKB active, he's going to force the fight. Now the overgrowth will come through, but a root onto the Lina as well from Valkyrie just completely breaks up the fight, and now PP, he Fiend's gated in, but he would like to leave. Is going to be able to get himself out of there, but Ravens, if they get that kill on the Ember Spirit, all of that plays out so differently.
Yeah, but another engagement where purely Ravens are not at their full 5. Benjas and PP are just away from the rest of the lineup. If they get the kill on Soul, then maybe they're allowed to stay around a little bit longer, but as soon as that play fails, just really did not appreciate what their opponents could do to them. And then again, the lack of any spell immunity or that dispel just means that you're stuck. You get rooted up by the Nature's Prophet, you get sprouted, Valkyrie just holds you down, and then you're dying pretty darn easily on Parker. Not to mention as well, by the way, that is the shortest possible Roche timer, one that will get immediately scouted, and in a position where I think Ravens need one more item on Lina before they really would want to make this contest. So this might just be another free Roche for Alpha.
Gonna make their way over to it, and it's about as free as it can possibly get. Let's see. Rises may actually grab... He may grab both here, because he doesn't have his shard just yet. Yep. Aegis, shard, both in his hands. Just picked up the Vanguard. There's the recipe, so it's a full Abyssal Blade, and... Well, if you're Ravens, your smoke is looking a little less impressive here. They're still pushing their way forward, though, and... I don't know. Do they really want to do this? There's Rises jumping in, looking for PP, but of all the heroes, that's kind of the hardest one to kill. That's going to reset the fight. Valkyrie, meanwhile, gets caught on the backline. They're going to be able to take him down, but Soul with the haste root is trying to push his way forward. Already lost about half his HP, though, and now Kara comes in with the overgrowth. Can they actually do this, though? With PP dead, a lot of the front line goes with him, but they are still trying to push. Roll forward from Demon, able to get in on to the Ursa. So they've taken out his first life ET. Can they set up onto him again? No, they can't. He's able to blink out from under them. They're still going. Demon rolls. Ray kill. Throws out the Avalanche. Mortimer kisses. Feeling more defensive than anything there, but they'll do the job.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Kara,
He's
stay where you are, my guy. Do not move. Okay, there we go. You can move if that's how it goes. Tumbler's toy across the river, and he's fine.
Yeah, no. That time around, Valkyrie, while still doing a fantastic job of finding the Lina early on in that fight, is sadly TPing, fighting by himself underneath way too much Raven's vision, so he just gets fired. He just gets taken down so quickly. And the Ursa on the low ground just had too much distance. His initial blink was not good enough. It just ended up getting a lot of stacks on PP, but that's pretty much all that did. And now, well, that second Roche just got taken. Roche is a long time from being up again. And Alpha lose kind of their easy way to make plays. Now, if they do want Rises out and in front, it's going to be putting his life at risk. And that Aegis that was going to give him that safety to play versus Lina is now just gone. Now, if he makes another mistake like that, I mean, Parker's just going to do what he did in the last fight. He hunkers down, he sits there, he A-clicks, and nobody can walk up to him.
Able to maintain the separation and just dish out the damage, so Alpha have to be careful. They do still kind of seem like they have momentum. Net worth-wise, their lead has largely dissipated, but Rises is still big, right? And if you get him on target, he is going to do quite a bit of work, but got to be careful. You take a look at some of the, I guess we'll call them supplementary pieces on the Raven side, right? Demon got the Yules, he's got a BKB. Kara, well, Kara's still not working with a crazy amount here, and at this point he's just trying not to get spotted in this instance, but he does have the Holy Locket, so, you know, his healing gets bumped up a little bit, and just those little incremental pieces allow Ravens to last longer and longer in these fights, and long drawn-out team fights work just fine for them.
Yeah, they almost want those long, drawn-out team fights. And again, that's where I'm concerned for Alpha. Finding their way onto that next easy objective is just difficult. Not to mention, during daytime, this is where you're a sniper Lina. You can see everything. I think that's where Alpha would really want it to be nighttime, so you don't have all of this vision in the world to just sit and hit from all the way across the map. So Parker now finally has his Satanic as well, so now that route isn't going to stick on nearly as easily. It's where Valkyrie is really kind of gunning for his level 20 talent, and then he becomes the fearsome natures we know him to be. Look top. Isis might have found his man.
No, they TP in everyone, looking for the kill. Overgrowth, though, is going to buy a lot of time. PP's walking out of this demon, rolls in, getting a little bit of extra lockdown. Now the Firestorm's going to be deployed, and all of a sudden, if you're Alpha, do you want to be here anymore? Parker's making his way over. He would love Rises. There's the LSA.
No.
There's the damage. They've got him locked down. PP's still up. Ray kill now going down as well, and it's all gone to hell in a handbasket, ET. They had him dead to rights, but they just can't do it.
Oh, the greed. The greed and the reaction, the panic reaction of him fiend skating out. Just nothing. The LSA lands. It just gets off, and that's all she wrote. I mean, it's just that simple. They even had a sentry down to try and allow for Rises to react, and he just doesn't get it in time. You give over to Parker, another 2,000 gold. You start pushing in. He's got a creep wave. No more shenanigans with Valkyrie and his treants to cut the waves. I mean, that was just a definitive loss. In 50 seconds still on the Ursa, I mean, Parker can do whatever he wants. He's got free reign right now. He's even looking for a kill bottom. And Soul.
Oh, the stun. Does he have the damage to do this? No. Okay. Man, if only there was some sort of ability that Lina has that produces a large amount of damage in a very short time frame against a single target, but it's just a shame that that ability doesn't exist.
It is really funny. It is really funny. But more importantly, I think if Parker gets a Gleipnir as well, that might be that little bit of damage he needs to get over the hump. But Scotty also works. Scotty works. It's just as fine. But this game is not getting any easier for Alpha. I think because he went for that kill attempt, they get to hold on to maybe one more of their glyphs, but they still need to find that perfect jump onto the Lina, who still can get chain stunned, can get chain rooted. It's not like they don't have more than just Wrath of Nature. They've got Gleipnir. Really, the one thing they're missing, I think, is a BKB on Valkyrie, who has just been teeping into the fights, getting spotted, and then dying just a little bit too quickly. But Valkyrie has not been that hard farming Nature's Prophet that we're used to seeing. His last hits have kind of fallen off. He's been given a lot of space for his allies. It's also where he's been mainly focused on microing his treants as opposed to, again, just straight farming. So we're not seeing that Nature's Prophet become that second true core that we have seen him become in games past.
In the meantime, Soul, even looking for a little bit of utility, went for the Heaven's Halberd, so they're all aware of what Parker can do to them, but now the fight is going to break out. They push in their way mid, looking for Ray kill first. Technically, they were looking for Soul first, but his well, defensive capabilities allow them to, or disallow them from actually pursuing that. They just take the easy kill. Ray kills out. You get the tower. They're going to smoke up immediately afterwards, and where does this go? Because there's really only 2 targets left on the map. One of them's a Nature's Prophet who's just going to switch sides, so they're going to try to find Rises, and if they do so, I mean, it's a massive kill, but if Rises just doesn't get greedy, if he doesn't push for that one more wave, he could be okay. Never mind. PP sees him. And now he's just got to try and blink his way out of here.
Oh, look at this. Kara. And he's gonna guess incorrectly. And actually is looking for a Valkyrie who, very nicely, was bottom, but gets out of there.
Of all the things that were going to happen there, I did not have money on Rises just walks away and never sees any of the heroes chasing him, but there you go. If you had that one on your bingo card, get yourself a point, but Rises lives. He's working his way towards the MKB now, ET, so this does not help him live all that long, and it still gives him the same issue of needing to get onto his target, right? If the separation can still be maintained, MKB doesn't really do you a whole lot of good. You actually have to be able to hit the person you need to kill.
Yeah, exactly. And it is coming on the courier, but I think more importantly, Rises has bought out. There is no buyback. If he goes down with this item, then he's taking it to his grave. It's where really there is no room for error anymore. If he dies, he's dead, as I like to say. But now, gotta be so careful showing in this top lane. It looks like this is where that initial contact is going to break away. And they want to set up... sadly, they're never going to want to set up onto Benjaz. Benjaz and PP still are not the heroes, but look bottom. Valkyrie on the run. Doesn't have a scan, does see that he uses the Sprout, and Parker's just got to freehand it, and he's not going to make the decision in time. Again, situation where if he has the Gleipnir, that plays a lot easier, but Valkyrie is still narrowly escaping so many of these situations, and really buying his team a lot of time.
That was a nifty play, too. Sprouting away from where he was going to run to, and you saw Parker only for a second, right? Sort of look in that direction before going south, but that second bought enough time, so... He is making some pretty big plays here, and this is a little unfortunate. Parker is now going for the butterfly. I guess they haven't seen Rises since he got the MKB. Unfortunate build there, but hey, it's still going to be useful, even if it's slightly countered as what is going on here. Jump in. They're looking for Demon. Demon, though, with the BKB is not a quick kill. Is that enough to matter, though? His teammates are busy kind of trying to deal with Valkyrie, and honestly, they do bring him down. That's going to be a fair trade in their favor, but with the way Benjaz is pushing forward, maybe they spot Rises. They do, but Rises goes in first. There's going to be the stun. They've got the Lina locked down. Can they actually finish her off, though? Not quite yet. Trying to turn around. Satanic not active yet, but the Force Staff gets him onto the high ground, and now he's going to start to fire away. Once he's not disarmed, the disarm goes away, and the fight's going to start to get ugly. Rises in some trouble. Rooted up. In trouble with the Laguna. It's not enough to kill him just yet, but he is so unbelievably low, and the DOT will get the job done. Rise is dead, Crawler gone, and Soul does not have mana. Now he's rooted. LSA does not hit, but the slow's coming in. Okay, a familiar stun is unfortunately for Soul going to put an end to his run for his life. It's a full 5-man wipe, delayed as it may have been, but you know, ET, that was winnable for Alpha. They just couldn't get the Lina in time. Even without the Satanic activated, they just couldn't finish the kill.
Yeah, she was disarmed for so long as well from the Halberd, from the Ember. It just ends up being not enough damage. And I think on the initial hit, just the BKB that comes out a little bit too early from the Ursa just wasn't able to use either of his other skills, the Enrage, you know, whatever, to buy time. And then without the BKB, he can't stick on her. So it ends up being a pretty bad situation. And now, well, that Roche is very unfortunate because there's no way for Alpha to contest this. It's another freebie. You know, Valkyrie is looking for some revenge here, but revenge on a guy who can root him up constantly. I feel like this might just be Valkyrie saying goodnight.
He's making him work for it, trying to get himself out of here. Trickster Cloak does help, but Abyssal Blade stun out from PP still gets the lockdown in place. The Nature's Prophet will die, I believe. Yeah, Parker had to do some inventory management there, and okay, he just ate the Ags, I suppose. So yeah, he didn't really have the slots. He just kind of had to pick up everything possible because if Valkyrie's TPing in, maybe the Tiny was making a play for the pit, but who cares? Maybe it's inefficient, but it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, no, definitely could be worse. And now has the Flame Cloak. It's something that doesn't help carry Lena all too much, but is still very scary. And okay, toss Benjas in on top of the Ursa, but he gets pulled away by just Demon, just straight up. And now, oh no.
Rises. You cannot die here. They have to protect him with everything that they've got, but Demon, he wants revenge. Rolls forward, kicks back, Break is in, Ursa's in trouble, trying desperately to get away. Server's lagging, but it doesn't save Rises. He still goes down. And now Crawler, a little bit less important, but he will be picked off as well. Rakill goes for the toss back. But the Wind Waker allows him to just walk his way out of the pit, or out of the fountain, excuse me, and at this point, they're just going to go straight for tier 4s. They know Rises is dead, there's no buyback, and there's your GG. Alpha, not the way that they wanted to go out there, and they were looking good for a long time, ET, but I don't care who he's on hero-wise. If you let Parker free farm, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, and it is kind of sad as well because Valkyrie, up until that point, I think, really, if any of you out there are trying to learn Nature's Prophet offlane, there are so many things in this game that Valkyrie does, whether it's creep cutting, whether it's fanning out the treants, whether it's blocking camps to stop Parker from farming as fast as he could be farming on Lena. This was kind of a Nature's Prophet offlane 101 from Valkyrie, and he really kind of shined, I think, in this situation, but it's just still the team fight execution, the later on kind of unfortunate circumstances, Alpha getting ahead of themselves and misusing, I think, that second Aegis, which is really what kind of tore their game apart. And then Ravens just playing the better heroes, which is kind of sad to say at the end of the day, but Treant Protector, Lena, Visage, it just kind of plays itself at that point. And even though I think you had some standout performances, I think all of the cores on Alpha really kind of played out of their mind. It just ends up not being enough versus the fine line that Lena forces you to play. You get on her, you kill her, or you don't, and you lose. It's as simple as that. She's the best carry in the game. She was the best carry in this game. It's why we see it banned out for a very, very good reason, as well as, unfortunately, them not taking the treant either. I mean, it's just kind of tough.
And, well, PP mid-underlord, we had some questions, and warranted questions, because not only is Underlord not very popular, mid-Underlord is even less popular than that, but it works. It does what it was supposed to do, right? He's so unbelievably tanky. He provides the lockdown. He starts dishing out, I was going to say a little bit of damage, but I just sort of showed it earlier, 30k. Actually, closer to 31,000. That's not a little bit of damage. That is more than anyone on Alpha was able to produce. So he did everything that they needed him to do and then some.
Yeah, and he is the one primarily who defends the towers, who makes the treant pick feel even better, who slows down, delays the game, you know, yada, yada, yada. It solves a problem that they had in the draft thus far while also giving them some kind of niche lockdown versus the Ember. But at the end of the day, it just felt good. Even though the Ursa was the last pick, I think as well, playing versus the Pit Lord, it's annoying. It's where his spells persist. Even though you're enraging it off, it still sticks around. It still stays there. It just ended up being really difficult, I think, for Rises in a good few situations where he just was unable to unrage and then, or enrage and then walk away from absolutely everything. But unfortunate, kind of expected. I think now the big question here for Ravens is, what do we look like coming into that second phase? Is this us locked down? Because they definitely have some things to iron out, and I think adapting to Parker especially, but this is kind of a good sign for them, I think.
I mean, they look good. Parker does what we have come to expect from him, and could stick with Ravens, because I did recall earlier on, he actually did officially leave Infinity, so I was wondering for a moment how that would work, because Infinity are going to be in the next phase, and obviously he can't play for two teams, but he's no longer a part of that roster. That frees him up to maybe carry on with Ravens here, and to the maybe lesser known, right, Demon. I believe he's a member or was a member of Balrog's. He came in here and did pretty well. I mean, they had him play Earth Spirit, right? Who the hell is playing Earth Spirit in the current meta? And 4, 8, and 17 is a pretty impressive stat line. You combine that with his performance in game 1. It's a small sample size, ET, right? We do have to say that, but it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, trust the new guy with Earth Spirit. You know, that's a good deal of trust. I wouldn't be too surprised if we see more things from Demon. Also, level 29 Earth Spirit. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
maybe this is going to be a habit pick for them. But no, it looks good. In Ravens, a team that everybody probably expected to make it to phase 2, finally doesn't get that earliest of earliest exit that they were kind of scared of happening to them after they lost their first best of 3.
And then on the Alpha side, um, solid stuff. The fact that they made it here after getting clowned on with the 0-14 in DPC, which yeah, they went 0-14. They pulled an alliance. You know, that's the way it is. But they come in here, they get a couple of wins. It's better than it could have been. But the number one concern, ET, for this team is get your roster set, boys. I don't know. We had a lot of different names and faces coming in here, so we'll see what Alpha looks like by the time the second tour comes around. But that will likely be the next time that we see them.
Yeah. And of course, relegated, you know, they got a lot of time, which is one of the nice things. They actually get to solidify something. And you don't have to worry about, you know, any of that messy business with DPC points and penalties because you don't got any. So, you know, make as many changes as you really want, whoever's the slot holder, you know. But we'll see more from them.
Oh, we'll see more from them. We'll see more from Ravens and Wildcard in the immediate future, though, as they are the two squads who survived this final day of Phase 1. So congratulations to them. They will move on to Phase 2, aka the group stage, which really is just gonna get going right away. I think we just kick off group stage tomorrow. So we are moving forward with that schedule. We do shift now as the group stage gets underway from best of 3s to best of 2s. So see what effect that has on these squads, because especially the teams that we've seen in the past in Pro Series ET, some of them really do play differently between full series and best of 2s. Ravens in particular, one of those squads. So a lot that can change when you sort of get into that round robin scenario.
Yeah, and I think for the newly formed teams, an advantage. They get those games. They get what effectively are guaranteed or planned scrims out. They get to train, you know, test, move around a lot of different moving aspects, get to solidify drafts, which is a huge thing we always talk about. But really in phase 2, all I'm excited about, 2 NA teams, 6 SA teams. Oh, region better represent, because it is going to be an uphill battle for the boys.
Got their work cut out for them if they want to sort of keep the NA torch burning here, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Group stage getting underway tomorrow. So, well, actually, I was about to say we'll see you there, but ET, you and I are going to be taking a little bit of a break here. We are handing things off to our Cryptic and Neff to handle the start of the group stage, sort of tag them in here. Haven't gotten to see too much of them yet this Pro Series, but they will be handling things, so we'll be gone for a couple of days. So, with that in mind, ET, any last thoughts here at the end of Phase 1 into Phase 2 before we go?
Look at the rats. Look at the rats. The rats are going to be in full force. I think this is also where you can't really scoff at Laudum, Alliance Laudum, or Thunder Awaken, especially Thunder Awaken. They're definitely going to be a scary team, one that's still figuring a lot of stuff out. So I think those 3 are going to be the ones that you got to kind of raise your eyebrow to. And also, completely unrelated note, if you are still loving your Dog Champ's playing right now. Might as well tune into that series because there is more Dota, and this is where Dog Champ unfortunately got eliminated here today, but they would have been double dipping anyway. They've got a whole Div 2. Make sure to support your Div 2 teams. Buy their supporter packs. Watch them. Make sure to give that love over there because, again, now that we've got this double system, there's going to be a whole lot more Dota going on.
Yeah, we're not all cramming it into just a little tiny condensed schedule, spacing it out a little bit more so that hopefully you can enjoy every last bit of it. So, as AT said, DPC going on. Go check that out because we are done here. But, again, group stage starts tomorrow, so hopefully you come back. Until then, though, thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your night.